Hello there. We're moving on to crafting your copy. So we just went through a little bit on branding and websites, and now it's time to dig our heels in and learn more about what you do to craft copy on websites and elsewhere. So first, this is really cutting right to the chase, getting right to the meat and potatoes of what copywriting is all about as a therapist. Okay, so we want to start with knowing the wants, fears, problems, and needs of your clients. And then craft a message that speaks to those problems in a compelling and believable way. So we want to sift through, think about, mull over what are the wants, fears, problems, and needs of your, we're going to say, actual potential clients, the people that you can imagine working with in the very near future, the people that you would want to be calling you, emailing you to come see you for therapy in your private or group practice. And then we're going to, from there, create messaging that speaks to those issues, those wants, those problems in a compelling, believable way that resonates with them. So, what do they get? This is where they're coming from. Thinking from the client's perspective, they're going to be thinking, what's in it for me? Will you, future therapist in private or group practice, will you be the one to give me what I want and then perhaps what I need? So this is a general perspective that clients are in when they're starting to Google therapists or counselors in their area. They're thinking, okay, they're looking for something that's going to resonate with them, that connect with them where they're at and what they're going through and who they are too. That also has something to do with it. So your marketing message grabs your prospect's attention as well as the look and feel of the marketing, if it's a website or if it's a blog, how that looks. Also, your marketing message tells them how you can solve their problem, or in a roundabout way, maybe not in concrete terms. It tells them why they should trust you, why they should choose you as their therapist. It's kind of like using their words to come up with a solution or a way of addressing their challenges and problems. So if you think about it like this, really what you want to convey and say to your potential clients is connecting with where they're at, with their wants, their fears, their problems, and their needs. You're wanting to address that in some way, connect with that reality, and then move them into the space of helping them see how you might be able to solve their problem. For us, that is inviting them in for therapy, letting them know that therapy, getting into counseling, is the answer to their problem. They're going to want to know why they should trust you. Okay, why you over someone else? We each have so much to offer as therapists and counselors. And so what we want to be able to somehow convey to our potential clients is why you are trustworthy. What is it about you that is going to be a good choice? What is it about you that makes you a good choice for them? Why, why do they want to choose you over the 20 other people on the list in Psychology Today, or the 30 other therapists that pop up in Google? So being eye-catching as well as speaking to their heart are really important. It's really kind of using their words to come up with a solution or a way of addressing their challenges and problems. So if you happen to see clients that are in your the population of clients that you want to see in a private or group practice, then think about the kind of words that they use, or the people that you know have these kinds of issues or challenges. Think about how they talk about those challenges or problems. What kind of words do they use? And that's what you want to start journaling about, writing down, and really getting into that space of the way that they think, the way that they feel, and where they're at when you imagine them looking for a therapist. Okay, so going more into your copy, branding, and client generation, once you craft your copy around which clients you want to attract, you can then extend that through creating a blog and other products and services. So our first task with marketing really is thinking about who you want to attract and crafting your copy around that. And then you can extend your marketing in other ways. We went through the content marketing section, the slew of options that you have of what kind of content you can create for marketing purposes. A blog is the most common one, and then there's lots of other products and services that you can create, that you can think of who these potential clients are that you're serving. What is it that will help them? What are some other products? What are some other services that you can create perhaps in the future, either now or in the future, that will give you maybe additional streams of income and also serve to support what you're doing as a therapist as far as helping your clients. Maybe there's some products that you could create. You can create card games, you can create books, workbooks, all kinds of things that you could invent something. So then there's also services. You can create other types of services for clients. You can create packages, you can create coaching. I work with people where we get together and we brainstorm ideas. So based on whatever it is their goals are and their particular passions, as far as the populations they see, the kind of issues that they like to work with, and we will brainstorm and work together on, okay, what other kinds of services and products can we create that would better serve this population? So there's also services that you can integrate just into the business side of your private practice. You can create packages, say for couples, with a gift certificate to go out to eat for a date night. You can have drinks serviced ready to go for your clients right there, whether it's coffee or tea or you have chilled beverages. There's just so many different options that you can add to your repertoire in building your practice. There's so many things that you can do starting out now and as you grow and build. So as you have money to invest or you have time to create, then you can build and build from there. Okay, so we can be more general, you can be niche specific, and what you're doing is crafting all of your messaging and offerings to serve the people in the community. So just like we did that exercise and I walked you through looking out at those images of the city, it had kind of a pink hue to it, and we were envisioning the people that are out there in our community that we want to serve. So what you're doing is now we're crafting the messaging and offerings, the product, any other products or services to serve those people. So who do you want to attract? It usually takes exposure to you and your content at least 7 times before they feel as if they know you. And that's where blogging, utilizing social media, and doing email marketing come into play. So this is a very important point I want to dig a little bit more into. So this is a proven fact. This exposure 7 times is pulled from advertising research. So the more often we see something, the more apt we are to feel as if we're familiar with that. Okay, yeah, we know that. I mean, think about commercials and how all of a sudden we're familiar with particular products because we've seen the commercial for them probably 7 to 100 times or something like that. And we are very familiar with it. So to know something, we have to be around it or exposed to it many times. And that's where we can blog, we can utilize social media, do email marketing, because those are ways, those are touch points from you to your potential clients or even potential referral sources, colleagues in your area. These are touch points for you to state who you are, to get your name out there, your practice name, where you're at, where your office is, who you specialize in, what kind of person or therapist you are. Getting that out there is the way to promote yourself and your practice. And these are phenomenal ways to get yourself out there. And especially if you aren't into networking in person, these ways are very powerful. Doing the online methods with the writing content and utilizing your website, utilizing social media and email marketing to be able to put more content out there and communicate really with your potential clients and potential referral sources. Going into this more, it's really about the know, like, and trust process. And this is the essence of value marketing, which is what the marketing we do as therapists is based on. Sorry, that kind of repeats itself there too. We're focused on what's called value marketing. So I was doing some edits to this slide earlier, and apparently it didn't save the changes that I made. So a little glitch there. But so really what this is about is we're providing valuable services. Um, we're providing valuable services as therapists. We have these 50-minute increments of service that we offer for one client after another. And the way that we can get people to know, like, and trust us to be able to want to come in and allow us to provide that service to them is through value marketing. And that is typically by giving someone something free in exchange for their email, in exchange to uh, get permission to market to them, to give them more communication with you, more valuable content, with the aim that over time, this will build that know, like, trust feeling and process, and that they will be apt to choose you as their therapist when it comes time to think about seeing a therapist. So because you're going to be compared to 20 or more other therapists in your area, there could be hundreds in your local little vicinity, that if potential clients and referral sources are getting to know you through what you're creating, through your communications or the offerings you're providing, if they are getting to know you and they like what they are getting to know, then they will, and it's over a decent amount of time, then that will likely result in them trusting you. And that can lead to them calling, emailing, and providing referrals to you. So that is the essence of what we do as therapists. And you will hear that anywhere you go. Value marketing is what we do. And it's because that's what works. We've really learned a lot about the field so far with this kind of marketing. So a little bit more into crafting your copy. So we want to ensure there's no neediness in your copy. So if you tend to write more passively, or if you're feeling pressured when you're writing and you tend to try to sell someone on something or talk them into something, that's going to sound a little more needy. It could even sound controlling. But there's a fine line actually between sounding needy and sounding controlling and just being direct and confident. So when you are writing and going through the creative process of writing, which can be really fun and just carefree, really. And that's how I would like it to be for you. When we feel pressure or stress as we're writing, that can really hinder the creative process. So if that's the case when you're writing, you probably want to come back to it at another time when you're not feeling pressured or stressed, because that's actually when your writing can sound different than how you want to come across. That's how you can start to sound a little more, say, desperate, or like you're trying to talk someone into something. So we just want to be really careful with that. Something to think about when you're reviewing what you've written, as kind of a checklist. So it's really all about conveying confidence and connecting, letting that potential client know that you get them. That's part of the conveying of confidence, that you get them, you understand them, and you are the one that is going to be able to help them. So I want to dig into the essentials of each web page. So it's an essential to have a website. Now we're going to talk about some important points to have on these web pages. So starting from the beginning all the way through. So each web page should have something that starts with how they feel, how your potential clients are feeling, what they're going through, and then how what you do helps address those feelings. It conveys you understand and can help them. You want each page to begin the joining and rapport building phase. So each page can literally be the beginning of a rapport building, and it can even get into therapy where you're empathizing with them and you're fleshing out some of these issues that they're currently going through. And then each page should have a call to action. So please call or email me at, and it invites them to see you. Each page is all attracting them to call or email you. So that's something you want to review with each page. You want it to be very to the point. So you're connecting with them, you're conveying you understand, and you're letting them know you can help them, and then you're giving them, this is what you want to do. Call or email me. Don't let another day go by suffering, struggling. Today is the day to find hope. Today is the day you say no to staying stuck. Things like that. Okay, blogging. This is a big topic, a hot topic among a lot of therapist groups because it's so powerful. What we have the potential to do with blogging is really phenomenal. We can start with a blank page and create just about anything that we want to create. As therapists and counselors with master's and doctorate degrees in psychology and marriage and family therapy and mental health counseling, you have access to so much knowledge within you and access to resources where you can garner that knowledge and that information to be able to create very life-changing, impactful articles that can connect with your clients in their deepest pain and struggles and speak to their heart and soul and lead them into a place where you're educating them and refreshing them and speaking to things that they can relate to, that speak right to their day-to-day life. And you can lead them to a place of all of that and wanting to come see you eventually. So blogging, I'm all on board for. I think that there's so many things that you can do with this. I highly, highly encourage everyone to consider starting a blog, and being mindful of that it's a creative process, that it's something that can change and evolve as you grow, as you move forward. It doesn't have to remain the same. You say you start a blog out on particular issues or topics, it can change and develop as you go. So you're never stuck with anything that you do when it comes to blogging. That's why it's fun and creative, and I feel like it should be kind of carefree at the same time, as far as just letting go of the stress and the pressure of what you're going to write and what you're going to say. Because I think that the more that you can let go of that, the more creative and unhindered you're going to feel. Okay, so you don't have to be a professional or talented writer. Writing how you talk actually in a conversational tone is best. So if you can sit here and talk, and I believe Google Docs, Word Doc has a voice activation, uh, something that you can just click on really easily within Google Docs, and it will just record you talking. And that, could be the beginnings of a blog. So writing conversationally is best. You don't need to do full research. It doesn't have to be, like an academic paper and APA style and all that. No, that was for grad school. So there may be stuff that you've written in grad school that you can create into a blog. But your blogs do not have to be academically researched and like an APA paper. A blog ideally will be on a variety of topics related to your ideal clients or group of clients that you want to attract. So this goes back to kind of the copy that you are going to have on your website. A blog can be an extension of that. Tips, tools, and resources are popular to use for blogs. So say 5 tips to beat the holiday blues, 3 ways you can reduce social anxiety during the holidays, resources, 5 books, 5 of my top books to read to deal with family and holiday stress. So topics like that are awesome for blogs. Circumstances your potential clients find themselves in that they can relate to. This is a very hot one to use for blogging. So if you think about general circumstances that the clients you want to see are in, there's so many to get into that I don't want to delve into that too much right now. But if that's something you want to talk more about, we can. The circumstances that they're in that they can relate to, that they find themselves in, that they can relate to. So different topics on, okay, say your population is kids, children, little ones. And so you're trying to write to the parents who bring in these kiddos, and you want to speak to the parents in a way that is going to relate to them, connect with them, and also not be off-putting, because you're wanting to attract them and have them bring their kids in. So a circumstance that might be related to that could be uh, strapped for time with little kids, finding ways to connect with your little ones when you're strapped for time, uh, and how to make quality time out of a limited amount of time with your kiddos, how to quiet your toddler's tantrums, how to better survive your toddler's tantrums, what are some other circumstances parents are in? How to get your spouse on board with the way you want to raise your child. So there's so many different circumstances with this one population that you can start to delve into and think through, okay, these are circumstances that my ideal clients are in, and this is a particular circumstance I can write about. So something that you might know enough about that you can write in a way that shows you're knowledgeable, that you can relate, and then that you can help. Other options are success stories, such as a case study of someone who had X issue and how therapy helped. These are what we call a version of testimonials. We cannot, as therapists, solicit testimonials, but we can do case studies. And of course, if we conceal their identity and a lot of the factors that we would write about with them be concealed and changed, so that you can actually talk about the actual issue and then how therapy helped or improved, changed that issue for them, where there was a transformation that happened. So that's another good idea for blogging. And it also really speaks to your potential clients on what therapy can do for them when they hear about it through a story of someone else. It can be very powerful because it becomes a point of reference for them that, oh, they had that issue and therapy helped them. Maybe it can help me too. It's just our human nature. We think that way and relate that way. Ponderings on issues is another good way to be able to write a blog. So let me start that over again. How self-growth occurs, common problems, and how we can shift our perspective. So if there's different issues that you are particularly curious about, interested in, that you get intrigued by. Personally, I'm very intrigued by how we grow as people. What is that about? What ingredients are necessary for someone to heal either from past trauma, to develop themselves more psychologically, to mature, and to overcome other common problems? So I think a lot more can be done with blogging in this category than is being done, at least that I'm aware of in our field. So I think being able to openly talk about issues on the page, in a blog, can really get conversation started. And it's another way to put yourself out there and get people thinking and communicating with you and it's still, getting that know, like, and trust out there. Another topic is what people get out of therapy. So this is a great one to start with because as you're building your blog, people are going to be coming to your website. And if you have articles that speak to objections or speak to questions that people have, like, what is it that you do as a therapist or counselor that can help me? And what do people get out of this anyways? And how does it work? So if you can write articles on that, that's going to go a long ways with people that visit your site that have those kinds of questions, because you may be able to answer their objection through your blogs, and that can encourage them and lead them to call or email you. Okay, a little more on blogging. Technically, it's built into your website or added. So if you get a WordPress or other type of website, there is usually a blog built into that, and it's accessed through your dashboard. So with WordPress, the dashboard is really doable and easy to learn, and usually on other sites too. I'm just most familiar with WordPress, and I am passionate about it. I believe that it's very effective, and I know how to use it. So the dashboard on it, once you learn it, it becomes pretty easy going forward to be able to replicate and do, blog after blog after blog. It's just you got to learn that initial part of it. So it's also great to improve search engine optimization. That's what SEO is. And adding key phrases related to what potential clients may be searching for allows for your blogs to be pulled up in Google, which helps your site's rankings. So when you're writing these blogs, you're integrating words that relate to therapy, that relate to what they're going to get out of it, and different hot key words related to your ideal clients, or the kind of clients that you want to see, the issues, the populations. All of those terms are, when the more that you're writing about them within your blogs and you have them on your website, over time that improves SEO, because there's more phrases that you will be picked up for. So for instance, say you are writing on children, treatment for children who say that have gone through trauma. That's a lot of what we see: ADHD, problems within the family, behavioral problems with kids. So, and say all your articles are related to that, related to treating children and families, and tips to help parents, and different articles all centered around children and families. So then over time, the more content that you create, the more Google is going to recognize your site as having authority for those keywords. So when someone say is searching for a therapist who specializes in children in, say, Pasadena, North Carolina, and you have over time created this library of content, it's going to make your website be more likely to rank when someone is searching for those terms and that kind of a therapist. So it's really a beautiful thing, blogging, and how all the multiple benefits that it has. And it builds the know, like, trust factor with potential clients. So you're continuing that process. And if you are doing email marketing and you're emailing the blogs to your clients or potential referral sources, that's building that know, like, trust factor even more. It positions you as an authority. So imagine if you have this whole slew of blogs on working with children and families and all the different facets of that. You have ADHD, you have attachment disorders, and if you're talking about all of that, it over time inevitably positions you as an authority on those topics. You become a go-to person. People in your community get to know you as being an authority on those topics, and you will inevitably get referrals because of that as well. So that is very powerful. You can also guest blog on other people's blogs. This builds backlinks for your SEO. So what this is about is, so say there's other therapists in your area or well-known people that have websites and businesses on particular niches or populations. You can ask to blog for them. And maybe you have a similar niche, or you have a niche that complements theirs. You can write an article and ask to submit that to them, or you can email people and ask them if they're open to that. And then what happens is they will put your name and more than likely your website and contact information on that guest blog, with then links to your website and any other online links that you have, any other places that you have an online presence. That will link back to that, which then also boosts your SEO, because that builds a backlink. That's what we call a backlink, when another website is linked to your website somehow. And that can really be done through a blog. It's that simple. You can get more known by contributing articles on well-known sites such as Huffington Post, Psychology Today, CAMFT. That's the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapy. In every state, there's going to be an association for MFTs, for licensed professional clinical counselors, for mental health counselors, for psychologists, and social workers. So all of those are good sources to contribute articles to. And it adds to positioning of authority and SEO as well, because it's not only the SEO that you're going after for that, you're also going after, hey, I'm putting myself out there in the community to be known as being knowledgeable and experienced in these areas, and I'm writing on these areas. and it really gets your name out there even more. This is another powerful way to put yourself and your expertise out there. And I want to challenge you, if you're thinking, what expertise? I'm just starting out. How do I have any expertise? Well, you wouldn't want to tell someone I'm an expert in such and such, but believe it or not, if you have an area that you're interested in, that you have any experience in, and if you're doing research, writing, working on understanding that area of therapy, even continually more, you have an expertise that's going to start to be carved out now. So if, say, going with the same example, working with children and families, if you are starting to write guest articles on these famous types of sites, Huffington Post, Psychology Today, and any others like that, if you do that and guest blog, over time, you're going to be seen as someone who really knows what they're talking about in these areas. You may get some specialized training. If you have any particular postgraduate education and training in any area, that also positions you to have more authority. So when you write and you put your writing out there and you try to get gigs for writing, like guest blogging, it's putting yourself as a therapist out there more for people to get to know who you are and what you do. And that trickles down to it being even more local, the people in your area. And if you're in different Facebook groups and whatnot for therapists, you can advertise and promote your blogs where you have guest posted, or I wrote an article over here on Huffington Post on this topic. So with social media nowadays, we can share a lot of our writing, and that over time is building authority for you. Okay, expanding your presence. So a little bit along the lines of guest blogging for sites like Psychology Today and Huffington Post and your professional associations and their publications. Public relations activities allow you to expand your presence and get your name out to the public in different ways. So this is a way to expand and extend your name and your practice and what you do. So Harrow is a free organization to be a part of that'll send you emails on topics you can contribute to and publications and websites you can be quoted in. So a little caveat to this though, just be forewarned, if you do sign up for it, it takes a little time to acclimate to sifting through all the different calls for quotes and information that they have. But it is a free organization, and you can submit your professional opinion on different issues and topics that will be put into different publications. So, and websites, they're now considered publications, websites. So this is a great way also to get your name out there more, and you never know what it can lead to. It might lead to being connected with other publications that you don't know about that you could then maybe guest blog in. So it's definitely something that is worth checking into to see if you'd be interested in pursuing further. You can also get interviewed by local radio and newspapers. This is something that some therapists do when they have really honed in on a particular specialization or area of expertise, so that they can now get quoted and get their name out there even more. So, we use social media as therapists a lot, and then this is just taking it to the next level. That's using, you know, bigger media, radio and newspaper. You can also get interviewed on podcasts. This is considered one of the new media nowadays, because more and more are popping up, and there are many therapist related ones now that you can pitch an idea about talking on a particular topic. So this is along the lines of blogging too. And it's something that is growing, this field of podcasting, and especially podcasting for therapists, because, hey, as therapists and counselors, we should be the ones to be on the front lines of talking about, culturally sensitive, individually impactful issues. The suffering and the struggles that go on day in and day out with people. There's so many topics that we could come up with to create podcasts on. There's so many struggles and issues that our clients and potential clients and people in our community are going through that we could really, create something life-changing for people, talking on so many different topics. So this is something that we can also revisit if you're interested in, for the near future. As your practice grows, this could be something that you might want to take on to help your practice grow. You can network and partner with other therapists who have larger platforms, large platforms. So there might be group practices in the area, or therapists that are more well known in the community. It might be conference presenters, conference creators, podcast creators, group practice creators, people that are in your local vicinity that are out there doing things and are getting more well known. These are people that are good to network and partner with, because you can leverage who they know. They're good people to know, for one thing, and then not to be manipulative or use someone, but it's in your best interest to get to know them, and you never know where that meeting or partnership can lead to, and they may lead you to other people. They may lead you to referral sources. They may become a referral source. They may tell other people about you. You never know when you start to network and partner with other therapists, especially who are more well known in your area, what that can lead to, and usually good things. Okay, there's a big question of, do I niche or not? Okay, so the benefits are that it accelerates practice growth. It allows clients to know if you are a good fit, and still other types of client, and still get other, and it still allows you to get other types of clients. It also allows you to get higher fees. So with a niche, it doesn't mean that you are ruling out getting other types of clients. That's what I was trying to say there. And it also allows you to get more clients, because what you're doing is, say you look at this beautiful image. I believe it's a picture somewhere in New York City. And imagine if you just slice down, up and down this picture, how many people that might represent. A lot. And that could represent a niche. And if you're communicating and creating messaging to that niche, that little slice right there in New York City, then you are increasing the odds that you're going to speak to the people that you want to speak to, the people that you want to be able to work with. And it doesn't rule you out from seeing other people as well. Because if you're a good therapist, if you're doing good work, then that word is also going to get out there in the community. And you are going to, because if you're doing better work with the clients that you want to see, that you feel are a good fit, then you're going to be doing better work anyways, which means you're going to be able to do better with the kind of clients that might be more of the ones you attract in general, that aren't your specialization or niche. More than likely, you're going to be able to do better with them, because you're having a balance of the types of clients you really want to see and that you do really well with, and the ones that are maybe more in the neutral category. And then you can also collect higher fees because people want to see an expert. People want to see a therapist who really knows their stuff and really knows uh, what they're saying and how they're helping, how they're helping you, which means you can command a higher fee for that because you are a specialist. So that's the thinking around whether to niche or not. Some people really feel, I guess I didn't go into like why not. Um, some people that choose not to have a niche or specialization, it's because they really haven't honed in on what they think is their specialization. They may consider themselves a generalist and not a specialist, and therefore choose to generalize, and that's perfectly okay. That's not going to, I don't believe when you're starting out in private practice while you're pre-licensed, I don't believe that whether you have a specialization or not is going to impact your ability to grow a practice. So it really comes down to choice for you. And a drawback of no niche is the generalist, commodity. So you become a generalist, like you become like every other therapist on the 20 therapists of the list, on the list of 20 therapists that they see, you just become one of many. Now, there still are ways to make yourself stand out, to really hone in and connect with people. But a drawback really is that if you're a generalist, you're more associated more like a commodity, which means you can tend to grow slower and there's no way for clients to differentiate you from other therapists. Although there can be with the copy that you create. You can create copy that allows you to differentiate yourself more, but it is a little more challenging because of the language that you use and everything. And so also lower fees tend to be associated with generalists because this is when you might get clients calling you and just price comparing, looking for a sliding scale client. I'm sorry, a sliding scale therapist or someone who is willing to barter with them. And if they don't see any um, significant benefit in seeing you over the 19 other therapists on the list, then this is the category that you fall into, unfortunately. And you start haggling with people, or they're trying to haggle with you, actually. So that's just one of the drawbacks of not creating a niche, to start out with. And then also, if we think about the medical profession, a general MD practitioner, that would be the person that you see, if you have insurance and you go to your physician who's in network. It's not someone who we want to see when we have a specific problem. We really want to see like a heart doctor, an OBGYN, a psychiatrist. We want to see someone who is specializing in whatever area of the body we're dealing with or problem that we're dealing with. So if we translate that over, apply that to the therapy world, most people, if they have a specific problem, say they're having a problem with their child or they're having problems managing certain changes or things that are happening in flux in the family, they're not most likely, unless they don't understand there's any difference between therapists, then they're gonna go to a generalist or they're gonna see someone who's in network in their insurance because they don't know there's any difference. But if they do know that there's a difference between the 20 therapists on the list. They're going to be looking for someone who is speaking to their problem, to problems with children and challenges within families with little ones. So that is how someone who's looking for a specialist will be able, if you are out there specializing in children and families and you're letting people know that through your website, through your blog, through your networking, through your other marketing, perhaps with social media and content marketing, then that potential client who's wanting to see a specialist with children and families and their particular struggles, when you pop up and you are seen as an authority in that area, they're going to be much more likely in wanting and willing to pay you good money to see you, because they're going to believe that you have an advantage over other therapists in helping them. They're going to believe that you are more likely to help us than these other 19 other therapists on the list, based on how you've positioned yourself and what you've put out there into the world about that specialty. So I hope this is starting to kind of come together now. The main benefits of niching. We give more clout to specialists. Therefore, if you have a specialty, you have more authority and are seen as more of a go-to person for that. It allows you to stand out in a crowded market, charge more, and build a cash-based practice. It builds that know, like, trust factor with people. So in most states that you guys are in, when you're pre or provisionally licensed, it's ideal to grow a cash-based, or what we call private pay, practice, because people use credit cards too, and health savings accounts and whatnot. So this is really the main benefit of niching when you're pre or provisionally licensed, because you can grow a significantly sized practice where people are paying you freely out of pocket and not using their in-network insurance. I used out-network insurance. I was out of network for a lot of insurances before I was licensed. So I was able to provide super bills and help people get a reimbursement from what they paid. But I built an entire practice on not using insurance at all, not being in network. So niching down really allows you to do that. And when I started out, I didn't have that much of a niche. Mine was women and couples. It's still pretty general. I would call that a moderate niche, where it wasn't very honed down, because I was saying basically I saw a whole wide variety of issues with women and couples, but at least it was somewhat of a way to narrow down who it was I wanted to speak to in my messaging, and that helped to be able to create content that really spoke to a broad range of women and struggles that they might be having in their relationships. So another benefit is that it gives you leverage with your marketing. When you have more specific messaging, um, so you have more specific messaging and ability to target ideal clients for you. So it makes it easier to write, actually, and it makes it easier to market. It allows you to partner and network with referral sources more easily. So because you can say, oh, I work with children and families, or oh, I specialize in working with kids who have ADHD, or oh, I love working with couples who are trying to recover from an affair, or I love working with teens who are, suddenly acting out and having a lot of anger and behavior issues. So when you're out there talking to people, it just makes it easier to communicate what you do when you're able to speak about a particular niche or something that you love. Just comes off more natural, and it also makes it easier for people to remember. And it allows you to build up expertise. So that's something I already covered for the most part, that you really probably right now don't think of yourself as an expert, but you have the ability to build that up over time. So the more you work with a population and or set of issues, the more knowledgeable you'll be. And you can continue your postgraduate education and training and get certifications. And there's so much, that is going on in our field, so much research and podcasting and talking and writing about the different topics within our field, that it's really advancing. And there's a lot of ways to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of in these different areas of research and progress in our field. So whether it's the neuroscience or it's working with couples or reducing mental health stigma, there's so many, big categories that you can continue to get training and education in, and any theoretical model also. You can learn more theories and more interventions, and there's just so much that we can always continue to delve into to educate ourselves, to just get more sophisticated with our abilities, as a therapist. So you just always think about what you're building. So you're not coming out there and making a big splash with your website and marketing that you are an expert now, but you are making a big splash of, look, this is what I'm knowledgeable about. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I am working with right now, and I want to let you know about it. And I want to talk about these issues, and I want to tell you what I know that can help. So that's how it works. That's how you build up that expertise over time. Okay, so the niche selection marketing process. Okay, so one, we want to select the group of people or population you want to work with. Children, adolescents, couples, men in their 40s and 50s, women in their 30s, or select an issue or collection of issues such as anxiety, depression, midlife crises, early career transitions, sleep-related problems, eating disorders, childhood trauma, high conflict in couples is a good one. These are different issues, or a group of issues, that you can put together as a specialization. So, two, the purpose of this is to narrow down a section of town. So like I talked about with a slice down the page here, looking at New York City, specific groups of people you can target your messaging to. You can always change this, but it gives you a decent sized group who you can connect with, and they become your target audience. And again, it's not ruling out other people that you would be good with working with, or you're open to seeing and open to exploring what that would be like to work with. You're not ruling those people out. Because with number three, it really comes down to, who would you love to work with? Who have you done well with already? Who do you imagine doing really well with? What issues have you dealt with and have made some progress with? So early on, when I was first starting, of course, as a trainee, I was willing and able to see whomever I was given to see. And then I started to learn what issues I have problems with myself, as far as like seeing with clients. And I learned what issues, wow, I really do well with and I like hearing about and processing, and that I actually have some ability to make a positive impact with. So for me, that, like I said, it was women and couples. And then as I worked with more and more women, I learned that, okay, I have this ability to really help build their self-esteem up, through a lot of validation and empathy. And I realized that they were getting some of their relational and emotional needs met in their sessions with me. And I was noticing what that was leading to, being able to start businesses and move forward in their lives and their relationships, whether it was needing to start fresh with a new relationship, or it was being able to forge forward in the one that they were with and being able to help them make positive changes with that, and being able to connect more emotionally in their relationships, and being able to draw more boundaries with both their friends and families, and helping them to sort out their purpose in life and who they are, and kind of grappling with, okay, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? So this is all what I started discovering with the women I was working with early on in my practice. And then based on how my sessions were going and what I was feeling and learning in my work with them, I further honed my copy on my website to be able to speak to more clients like that. And I was hearing and kind of sourcing some language from stuff that they would say, and I would put that into my own words and change that on the website, and then started creating blogs. And over time I really kind of honed that niche a little bit more over probably a year or two. So it really, that niche selection marketing process took a little time, and then it grew and kind of honed from there. Okay, so some key questions to consider when trying to go through this niche marketing process. Is this a group of people reachable in my town? So that's number one. Would they seek out therapy? Do they have money for therapy? Are they working, employed? Is this something you're sincerely interested in and want to learn more about? Do you have any current knowledge or experience with it? Are you willing to train in this area? Those are all really important. Do they have problems they want solved or to be better? Because you definitely don't want to pick something that someone's perfectly fine with, just, staying stuck or staying the same. Are they the type to reach out and seek connection and help from others? Are others already focusing on this area? Can you figure out, perhaps with help, what their most significant fears and frustrations are? Can you determine what their greatest their greatest hopes and dreams are? So those are all questions we want to mull over and think about before even brainstorming what my niche is. So, I'm sorry. If you have an idea of what you want, of what your niche is going to be, then you want to ask these questions, because it can rule out perhaps a niche you might have in mind. Because you want to make sure that this is something people, you want to pick populations that have income, or they're working, that they would want to seek out therapy, or at least be able to understand the benefits of it if you're communicating that to them. And it's also something you don't want to just go after the money when it comes to picking a niche, but you do want to make sure that it's something you're passionate and interested and knowledgeable about, that you genuinely really want to work with these people, and that you are good with handling the problems, and that they're actual problems that they want solved or to be better. Another benefit is if they are the type that they want to reach out and seek connection and help. So the women that I was specializing in, I was beginning to understand that this group of women I was seeing are actually the type to want to initiate and reach out for help, and are really looking for that connection and looking for their needs to be met, and to gain some self-reflection and self-insight and understanding of who they are. So all of those factors, play a big part in who you want to select as your niche or specialization. So here are some 4 really strong ones. So like I said, uh, try not to pick a niche just purely based on whether you think the niche is going to bring you income or not. That's a factor in that for sure, because you don't want to pick people who are unemployed and on Medi-Cal unless you are a Medi-Cal provider, but more than likely as pre-licensed, provisionally licensed, that's not going to be the case. So here are 4 niches to consider when you're brainstorming and starting to see clients. Okay, anxiety. So stress-related disorders by far are very common in our society. Panic attacks, OCD, somatization, when people, are starting to develop physical conditions and symptoms because of psychological issues, and then also generalized anxiety. People with stress-related disorders and anxiety, there are people in pain and seeking relief. So that's what makes this a powerful niche, because It's so common in our society, in our culture, unfortunately, and this does stem from our attachment issues and attachment styles. But this is a number one niche, and it can tend to be more preferable than, say, specializing in depression, because more than likely when you're working with stress related or anxiety disorders, you're not more than likely going to have to deal with the potential of suicidality quite as often as you would, say, with depression. So that's why anxiety tends to be a stronger niche for that reason. Another one is couples. So interpersonal distress, conflict, and trying to repair and recover, affairs, addictions, and divorce, divorce prevention or mediation, or co-parenting. People pay to make their relationships better, or to see if their relationship is capable of being saved. This is a huge market. Couples are very regularly looking for marital counseling, for couples counseling, and looking for someone to save them, to help them in their relationship. It can be very intense though, so just be forewarned. I love couples work, but I couldn't do a pure couples practice. I like having the balance of having some couples and some individuals and some families. So even though I do have a niche and a specialization, I still have that capability to be able to see that variety um, of client and variety of issues. Okay, the third one is weight loss and body image issues. So, eating disorders of the high functioning kind, such as overweight or bariatric, plastic surgeries, etc. Um, Even just women or men who are more self-conscious about their body and their weight, or if they're having trouble losing weight or feel insecure because of that. Those are all really common to see in private practice. People in our culture pay a lot on weight loss related issues, and eating disorders are prevalent in our society. So even if you don't see someone with, a full blown uh, anorexia or bulimia uh, diagnosis, just weight loss and body image issues themselves are really common. And so it's a very popular and strong niche to specialize in. And then adolescence and parenting. So this phase of life brings on challenges for both adolescents and parents. The challenges are, such as acting out, attitudes, and difficulty parenting. So people will reach out for help and support. Sometimes it's the teen, sometimes it's the parent, and often it's out of some kind of desperation. Things have gotten so bad, behavior outbursts, disconnect has gotten to the point where they can't do it or change it on their own. They can't handle it so much on their own the way that it is. And so they're willing to pay people to help them. So again, these are all really four strong niches, and I share this with you so that you know uh, what makes a strong niche, and maybe some of these are ones that you might want to consider, or maybe it just fits within your repertoire of experience and interest. So things to consider, and because you can change over time, uh, who knows, you might want to start out specializing with one of these because you're interested and you have experience or education with it. And then you might want to do it tentatively and start creating material and content marketing for one of these niches to get your practice started and growing. And then you might want to see how that goes, and you could keep it or change it, in the future. So nothing is set in stone. This is all a creative process. So an alternative to niching. Number one, start your marketing efforts by narrowing it down to 2 to 3 populations, such as women and couples, adolescents and young adults, anxiety, depression. By choosing 2 to 3 populations, you are giving yourself a way to focus on what their issues may be to give you something to work with for your messaging and copy. And then number 2, brainstorm what you know of or imagine their struggles and frustrations to be. It can start with symptoms and then move toward phrases or sentences they would say. And 3, what would they be complaining about? If they called you, what would they say? Think of the common elements among them all. Number 4, for example, are they wrestling with their family relationships, having ongoing conflict that never seems to end, acting out in ways that are destructive? When you figure out those common elements, then you can start to craft your copy around that, and this becomes your alternative to niching. As you start to see clients more, notice what language they use when they talk about their life and problems. Or if you know people with the type of problem or issue that you want to specialize in, notice how they talk about it or how they write about it. What are they wanting and hoping for? What do they see as their issue? And then take notes. Listen over and over to your clients. Find common elements. Pay particular attention to the ones you really enjoy working with, find intriguing, and you want to learn more about. That may be an area for you to explore and consider niching in. Sometimes the people we don't anticipate we would connect well with, we do. Some of these connections and issues are unconscious to us within ourselves. Sometimes our clients will present with issues that are a part of us and we find naturally do well with and are eager to be a part of their process. That may be a niche waiting to find you. Okay, so I have a bonus to reveal to you. I have website and copywriting coaching packages at jaw-dropping rates for you. So you can choose which package works best for you. These are created specially for you to get your website started and designed to be efficient and beautiful. These are done for you as well as do-it-yourself packages. So I'm going to be emailing you a little information on this through a link that has a landing page that goes into the detail more. But my website designer and I got together and wanted to create some packages for you that would make getting a website started easy and efficient. And so that's what I'm sending to you very soon via email. So make sure you look out for that, and please let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to get started with you guys and let you know that you have access to an incredible offer and package as far as websites go, because I don't want you having to spend thousands of dollars and or trying to spend thousands of hours trying to figure out how to do something yourself when you now have an option, a very affordable option to either create a website that makes it easy for you to do for yourself, or to have something that's a little more done for you as well. So I'm very excited to offer this for you guys and can't wait to hear what you think.